Welcome to Destabilizing Disability, the podcast, where we tell you funny stories. And this week, we're going to tell you all about how, as a chronically ill person, I can't be on time anywhere, ever, my entire life. I'm starting to realize that it may never happen for me, and it might be a goal that I'm just going to have to let silently shh away
Yeah.
from me.
I mean, even just being on time in general can be hard. So having to do that when you are also having to deal with a chronic, well, having to deal with that too when you have a chronic condition like that. When, it's one thing when maybe, you rearrange some things to do things a little bit better with your scheduling or something to be somewhere on time, or motivation or whatever. But when it's something that you can't necessarily control, that's got to be a huge challenge because your body's literally telling you not today. So that's got to be pretty intense and frustrating to deal with and feel like you have less control in those situations as well.
I would say so. I would say so. And now being married to me for a number of years, trying to get somewhere.
Yeah, trying to get somewhere, which for us it's also just getting into the car alone because you can have a lot of things happen that oh, we got to go back or we've got to stop somewhere, whatever the case is. So that can be a challenge in itself, let alone dealing with the frustration of, like, especially if it's something important like a doctor's appointment.
Ugh, yes. Here's the thing, I do have an issue with this as a people society world. I understand that we have a society where time is very important
Mm-hmm.
and it is respectful to be on time, and if nobody listened to those rules, the world would be chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, and I also think it's a sign of respect. I understand. However, living the way that I have lived, and for all of these years now, these decades, there I do have an issue with going to doctors that know that I have this chronic illness, all of these episodes that can change how I'm doing from moment to moment. A number of doctors seeing it happen while I'm with them, to have those moments and then it disrupt your life. I can't speak, I can't breathe normally, I am not, there mentally anymore. All of those things can drastically change whether or not I'm gonna even make it to an appointment, much less be late, no matter how early we leave.
Right.
Yeah, because we've had um, times where it's taken us over an hour on top of our trip because we've had to stop so many times and for so long because I got so sick.
Exactly. And it's even harder sometimes because obviously with an appointment, one, you have to cater to their times available. Like, is it like if they have only 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and that's it, like they don't do any other times to schedule, what do you do, like?
I know, because it can be easier if it's a little bit later or
Right.
sometimes earlier, but usually a little bit later so that we can get more and more done for me during the day and we have more time to basically stabilize me in the morning, and so
Right.
we have a
Yeah.
better chance of making it there on
Right.
time. But on top of this, if we miss an appointment, especially with like doctors and stuff, and you wait, oh my goodness, for
Mm-hmm.
these, what are they called? The specialists.
Yeah.
You can wait for so long to get in. And then you're late and they are like, we're not going to accommodate you anymore.
Exactly.
Or you get charged, sometimes both. Miss an appointment, you get charged, and it's like, I am trying everything in my power, but if I made it there, I would not have made it there in any sort of stable condition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when I miss an appointment.
Right.
Is what I'm saying. But I feel like that there should be more wiggle room in those things. And I understand why there's not, because it's time and money and you don't want people to abuse things. But
Exactly.
it's like when you know someone is really, they've waited for so, like, can we have a little bit more of a grace period?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
see a couple less people in a day. And oh, that might sound like, wait, we can't see less people in a day. That's less people to help and less people to, one, we need more specialists.
Mm-hmm.
Two, we need more time
Right.
to see the specialist anyways. It's, I have so many gripes.
Yeah.
I have a lot of gripes and grapes, and so
Which I do feel like there have been times where I was kind of grateful actually, because there have been some appointments that they did kind of work with us. Yes, we were late, or needed to reschedule, whatever. And some
for
have,
doctors,
yeah,
okay.
not all of them, mind you,
I know that's
but there
happened
were
with
some,
like chiropractor.
yeah, chiropractor, and then yeah, some doctors, not all, definitely some were like, well, if you don't come today, then nah, nah, nah,
Mm,
nah, nah. But there have been some that were pretty like, yeah, yeah, of course, reschedule, or just come if you can make it.
yeah, but we still get bills for those. You probably
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
Well,
I hide them away in my sock drawer.
uh,
I don't really. I don't have a sock drawer.
you have a sock basket.
I have a sock basket.
But yeah. So, but I agree wholeheartedly. Despite what you were saying, that people could like abuse that process if they did make it a little bit more lenient, I would say if it means that the people that really need it get the help they need, then that outweighs that.
Yeah, I think we should get little cards that that doctor gives you and says, "Okay, I realize
Mm-hmm.
that this appointment da 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 is too much," and they give you a free pass.
Yeah,
I would like one for the dentist as well.
that's true. They could do like some kind of specific screening.
Yeah, like if I have a disability plate on my car, I don't want to hear Jack for whatever time I'm coming in. If it's within the hour, I want you to be like, "Okay, we'll fit you in because our next disability person is also late. So we've got the time." And here's the other thing that makes this worse. We'll have a whole episode all about our doctor gripes or
Mm-hmm.
doctor visit gripes. But because we've had some stories.
Yeah.
We may or may not be suing one of our doctors right now. We're not, but I dream about it sometimes. But but it's, that's okay to say. That's legal. It's fine.
I'm no expert, so go for it.
Is that I have been in waiting rooms for hours.
Yeah.
I think the longest time I've waited, I want to say it's been 4 hours, where I just sat there and waited for the
Probably at
doctor.
least.
Yeah, for 4 hours. And it was a specialist that I had waited a long time to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And he walked into the room and said, "I don't know," and walked out. And that was the entire point. And then like the nurse, like I felt like she even was shocked. And she was like trying to say extra things like, "Oh, maybe you can do this or maybe that, or maybe you can go see this person." Like she was trying to spend time like trying to make up for the doctor appointment. And I have never.
I almost wonder if he was just like something was going on and he was just like done, and then kind of like maybe not on purpose, but like took it out on you
Oh yeah.
and was just like, I'm done.
Cuz what else could have been happening that day that he's just, yeah.
Right.
But it's like, then reschedule me.
Well, but when a person's done, they don't really care about anything else.
I would like to disagree on that,
Well,
because I
that
have
depends on the
been
person, I
right.
guess.
I
But
feel like when you're, chronically ill, as a chronically ill, I feel like I am done with life all the time. I am already
yeah,
completely overstimulated from the amount of like overstimulated from
yeah,
the
yeah,
amount of pain I'm in physically, the emotional distress. I've had a lot of changes with my hormones and different things like that over the years. Some of them on purpose and some of them not. My
yeah.
body's just woohoo. How much wiggle room do I have to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go crazy and take all this stuff out on other people," versus like I gotta keep it together, especially because I don't know if anyone else has this kind of fear, but I am quite dependent on other people. So I'm
Right.
like, if I get them mad or if I have a confrontation or if I do this, then I'm not going to get the help I need, which
Right.
isn't necessarily healthy or true, obviously, but I do have that fear. So it's like, I know how to be sitting there in the room and, talking to people and being together enough
Yeah.
without, how many nurses have I had to be within the emergency room and I am hanging on
Yeah.
by a broken thread.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, thank you,
Yeah.
please. Like, I'm still using all of my words and
Yeah.
letting people finish their sentences. I'm going, I understand, thank you for
Right.
this, thank you for that. Oh, we can't do anything about this or that. Well, thank you for letting me know. Thank you for what you have done,
Right.
all of the things.
And the fact that it'd be one thing if he was in some other line of work, like, you know,
Yeah.
puts is putting your bouquet of flowers together and is just like, I'm done, and walks away and just doesn't want to finish
But
it.
when you're dealing
But
with
when you're like,
someone's
yeah, when it's somebody that is there for health reasons and they are
severe,
struggling,
mm-hmm,
yeah, what are you doing? Like, why
mm-hmm.
are you in this line
I
of work?
waited a year to get here
Yeah,
for nothing.
if you
And
can't deal
you
with
still
it,
have to pay. You have to pay in your time
right?
for sure. That was a whole day
Mm-hmm.
fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah,
then
it's costly both, financially, but also
time, I think they were like an hour
time,
away.
effort, wasted effort on your
I
part.
think I was by myself too. This is turning into the doctor episode. Imagine that we have so much more to say.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, we could literally go on, but
Yeah.
it's not quite what we're talking about. So,
No, we're talking about our frustration
yeah,
that,
getting places on time,
yes. And
not being
that,
late.
why is it okay for him to be late and then brush me off and he can be mad in his own world and never think twice about me, but it is quite unacceptable for me to be late. And I understand that for me it's going to be a habit, but it's not a habit that I want. It's not a habit that I haven't tried very
Right.
hard to get around for decades. Like, can I leave hours earlier? No, because that makes me more unstable,
Yeah, yeah.
because then I'm sitting places, I'm sitting more time sitting in the car, which is bad for me,
Right.
or wherever we are waiting, and just the waiting period is bad for me. And then it's like, I need to eat every couple of hours, or I need this every couple, like I
Right.
need all of these things every couple of hours,
Right.
and I'm already like, the max amount of time you're going to get out of me is maybe an hour
Right.
during the day. So it's like, I gotta fit. I'm gone. Like, by the
Yeah.
time someone would come there, I'd be like, I used all my energy.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
have to go.
It's not that you're being, irresponsible or lazy or anything like that, or making
Unintentionally
poor
rude.
making poor decisions with timing and whatnot. It's none of that. It's
It's
literally that
out.
you are dictated to by your own body
Mhm.
what you can or can't do, how soon, what's feasible, etc. And you just have to follow along and hope that whatever you're doing that day or whoever you're going to see understands and or can make some kind of lenient lenience or have some sort of leniency for you to do it,
Yeah.
which with appointments is one thing, but
With
then
friends
with
that you
friends,
choose
exactly,
is
which,
another thing.
yeah, which in a way, at least in the sense of um, preparing or having things set up, in a way that can kind of be easier with friends, I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
but not as much with appointments, because like when you consider like if you when you need to eat, I
I
feel
can
like
eat
it
with
can be
friends.
right, because we can either have the stuff to bring with us to heat up at our friend's house, or just have that stuff prepared ahead of time, like have them
Make
make
something
something
that
there.
I can eat.
But
Yeah.
when you're out, there's already limits on what you can eat, and so that we have to factor that in.
Yeah. Because so far, I have found one place. Well, sorry, two places, but one of them is
Mm-hmm,
just
mm-hmm.
like a place near us.
Yeah.
So, one chain of restaurant that we have seen multiple of that I can eat at. They're not open all the time either.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I can only eat two things off of their entire menu.
Right. So,
And it's not like they're like healthy or great for me, or I don't feel like the greatest after I eat them, but I can eat them and it can help, stabilize me, whatever, add extra,
Yeah, at least give you some protein and
yeah,
something to
some
feed.
sustenance.
Yeah, something to at least give you something for your body to feed off of until we can get you
Mm.
properly fed.
And I do have one type of bar I bring around with me, but I can only have like one a day.
That's something that we have to be mindful of and factor in.
Yeah.
So, in some ways, like I said, it's better, you know, doing it with friends. In other ways, not so much.
Well, here's the thing. One of the reasons I think it's better doing it with friends is because you can choose your friends and you can choose good friends and you can
Right.
help educate and make, because it's a give and take relationship. So you make compromises on things.
Yeah.
So, can I make some sort of compromise here and there? Some friends' compromises will look more like, text me the same day
Mm-hmm.
how you're feeling as soon as like, and wake up and go, yes, I want to go, and no, I don't. Okay.
Right.
And
Right.
some friends are like, you know, here we're going here and there, and it's a group of people, so come if you can come.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't really necessarily even have to text them or anything, but we'll be like, thanks so
Exactly.
much
Yeah.
for inviting me and da 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 da. And like recently I hung out with someone I haven't hung out with in years. And so I just asked and I was like, can we, you know, my health is a little crazy. Can we make it a this day or that day? And when we get closer, can we
Right.
kind of pick which day, like, Friday or Saturday? And then on that day, I was like, I don't know. And for her, I really did bring her on that roller coaster ride because the day of, I felt awful. But
Right.
I had a feeling that I could take enough medicine and get enough stuff going where I could still hang out for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I did text her and I was like, look, I'm not feeling great, but I think if you give me an extra hour, I think I can. And I texted her a few hours before we were supposed to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, give me an extra hour. And can I just like keep you really like just keep texting you like
Yeah. Yeah.
every, once in a while and be like, I think I can get it together.
Right.
And but that time I was pretty confident that I could get it together. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much confidence I have. But I was like, I've done this before. I think I have some medicine I can take that works, but it just takes time to work.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
that means it takes time for me to know whether or not it's working or if I misunderstood what my body was needing and stuff at the time. But that worked really well for me, and we still had fun. I didn't
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
I said thank you for letting me take you on that roller coaster ride. I said I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I did what I could.
Yeah.
But she seemed fine with
Yeah.
that time. So, and sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's not. It depends. Different friends. But that is something that because I think there have been times in my life where I didn't always have that kind of friendship, or sometimes you're meeting with people that aren't close friends, or making new friends or whatever, in that kind of sense. So they're not used to it yet, or they don't know yet, or whatever. We haven't had a chance to have that kind of conversation.
Right.
Um, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But there are definitely times I feel like in my life where instead of receiving any sort of understanding, at the least, if not understanding and compassion and willingness to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
still value me beyond those things and understand that I will respect them in lots of other ways and whatever other ways I can think of, um, other than that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But instead, I've been met with other titles and feelings that I didn't need, like that I'm lazy, that I'm disrespectful, that I'm not handling things well, that I'm immature,
Mm-hmm.
all the things unreliable,
Yeah.
all of these things. And it's not necessarily that I'm unreliable, it's I'm unreliable in this area.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I do think I'm reliable in other areas and in areas that I also think are valuable. And if someone else finds those other areas valuable too, then that's fantastico.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this all really goes hand in hand with what we talked about in our previous video about having those support systems in place,
Mm.
because they're obviously everybody's different. Everybody has different levels of tolerances, and understanding level too. There are some people that we know that probably have never been sick a day in their life. Might be a little exaggerated, but they just, so when something like that is before them, they don't get it. And so for them, they see what's going on with you, or why you can't be somewhere at the time that you need to be there, or whatever. To them, it's just a matter of like, oh, well, you just need to do things better. Oh, you just need
You
to.
need to just leave earlier.
So I feel like definitely having those around you that really understand what's going on, and
Who try to
that's
understand
what I
too.
was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually take the time, because those are the friends that are worthwhile, that invest that time to learn and understand why, and yet still want to be there too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just, you know, they
Yeah.
find out and they're outsies.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference too, just to add one more layer on what you're saying. I think there's a difference too between people who don't understand and might never understand, but want to, keep things open and leave space and understand that they don't understand. And
Yeah.
so that rules and so
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I don't have children and I might never have children. I might never completely understand.
Mm-hmm.
So if, someone said, was late with their children and I wanted to say, well, then you should have left earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should have gotten your children dressed sooner in the day. Like,
Yeah.
I'm probably like, that's doesn't make any sense. A parent might be like, okay, well, if I got them dressed sooner, they would have messed up their clothes. And if we left sooner, they were going to, you can't just wrangle little toddlers into whatever. But if
Yeah.
I don't know that and have never experienced it, and that's how I said it, burst, if I was like, okay, could
Yeah.
this could you have left soon? Like, is that even an option?
Right.
And they're like, well, no, for various reasons. And, for whatever reasons, I'm not going to get the reasons. They maybe don't want to tell me all the reasons,
Yeah.
whatever. Then I go, okay, well, what do I do? What can we do
Yeah.
now? Do we just go in now? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
let's, whatever.
Yeah.
Continue with life, because there are many times when this, I don't know if you've thought about this, but there's a whole thing about how people with disabilities don't need to disclose their medical information to other people,
Right.
which I think is a very valid thing. I think HIPAA exists in this country, so I think there's a reason, if not many. And I am not very quiet about what's wrong with me and all those things. Prior to
Yeah.
some of my friends are like, okay, that was more than why don't we stop here? I don't need to know anymore. I get it. And then, okay.
TMI. TMI.
Yeah, I don't need to know anymore. That sounds like a lot, and I don't want to know anymore about that procedure. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's fair enough. Fair enough. I realize now that it's different for me to talk about those things, because for me, a lot of those things are normal everyday things,
Right.
or even like, a procedure isn't necessarily normal every day, but I've had a couple of them and I've had invasive things. I've been awake for things. Like, it was a whole experience. I lived through it and I can talk about it. It was a big thing, but not everyone has had those procedures or will ever need to have them, and they don't
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
necessarily, so that's like ooh,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this can be cringe.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot this can be gross. I forgot this can be like anxiety inducing. Um, yeah, but that's the thing. And so, if someone was like, why don't you just do this, or why don't you do that, then I don't necessarily need to give a whole explanation about why I don't do this or why I don't do that, or
Mm-hmm.
that isn't, if someone is requiring me to do that, to you know give them the peace in their mind to go, okay, fine,
Yeah.
you have tried enough.
It's almost like they need to justify
Not
whether
giving
or not
me,
to invest
yeah,
any more into the friendship.
yeah, or into my excuse,
Right.
or into my,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know
And so that's, yeah, one of my favorite concepts when it comes to understanding something is, you may not understand what's happening or why, but that doesn't mean that you can't be understanding.
hmm
You don't understand, but you can be understanding.
yeah,
That's where I feel like people tend to fall short. When they don't understand something, it's as if there's no way that they can be understanding.
Yeah.
Like there's literally something in their path, which, maybe in a sense there is, but it's only as much as they let that be
Yeah.
because they can do differently, but are they choosing not to, either not necessarily on purpose, but out of ignorance and not wanting to adjust that ignorance level, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Ignorant to the fact that they think they know and have experienced so
yeah,
much. And then that gives them the right
yeah,
to judge and know something about
right,
something they have not experienced and don't know about.
right. Which not only does that rob you of a friendship, which, maybe that's not a friendship that you want, but if they were willing to make those adjustments, not only does it rob you of the friendship, but it also robs them of the experience of making those adjustments and being that support for you, but also the benefits that they can have from being friends with you because you have things to give
There's
too.
so many, yeah. I'm very
Mutual,
funny.
friendship is a two-way street. So it's like just because you experience these things doesn't mean that you don't have things to offer. It's just that people, you know, fail to grasp that.
Here's the thing, when it comes to friendships, doctor's appointments, anything else, I understand that it is uncomfortable and people do not like, organizations do not like, structure does not like that I am late.
Mm-hmm.
But neither do I.
Yeah.
I do not like being late. I do not like the way that it makes me feel. I do not like missing out on things.
Right.
I do not like the fact that I feel like I could be making someone else feel like I done just said like 18 times. But I don't want to make anyone else feel like I don't like them
Right. Yeah.
or don't respect their time or
Right.
don't value them in any way, shape, or form because it is so untrue.
Right.
I value people very highly. I would say probably more than most of the people around me, probably because I view relationships a lot differently and prioritize them a lot differently as a chronically ill person.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is not fun. And I am married. And so when I am late somewhere, often it means that you are late somewhere.
Yeah.
And it can make you look bad with your friends and family and all of these things and wherever, and it is not a good feeling for you either. So then I feel bad for making you feel bad or frustrated, or no matter what, it's a tense situation trying to get out of the door because we're trying not to be late.
Right.
And then the whole way there, we're trying not to take, you know,
Yeah.
where's the balance between pushing myself, taking it one extra mile, and something really horrible happening and having a bad episode
Yeah.
that's going to ruin a lot more than just the day.
Yeah. 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 I agree. It's frustrating because, again, what we just talked about, having that support system. If you have a good support system, then they will understand.
And it
They'll be
lessens.
understanding that we have issues and, things come up and we may not be able to meet on time, might lose some of that time that we were expecting to have with each other, or even the whole occasion, depending on what's going on and how severe. And so it can be frustrating, like for all the reasons that you said. We want them to have a good time. We want to have a good time. We're sometimes looking for that, to feel refreshed because we do get kind of cut off from the world more because of these things. And so we just, I probably more than me than you, I would say, like I can be a homebody, but at the same time, there is a side of me that needs some kind of engagement like that. But you're more okay with being a homebody pretty much all the time. And that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, when in those times where we want to go do something, especially for me, because I want to be able to do things together, I think we talked about in another video, but I want to do things together, not just, me going out by myself, or not even necessarily by myself, but like without you, period. Like I want to be able to enjoy that experience together. So then when when we miss out on those things, it can feel frustrating because it feels like we're getting robbed of that, you
Mhm.
know, which again, to an extent, that's okay, if it means we're together anyways after that. But getting to see our friends together and enjoy that time, that interchange of encouragement, you know,
It is a need.
it is a need. Human interaction is a need. And so, but I would say it can kind of be frustrating because you don't always know. Well, it's not that you don't always know. You're, for me, I can get insecure about my friendships and whether they really are understanding in that moment. And it makes me worry, like, are they going to give up on this friendship because we don't get to do this, this or that or the other?
Yeah.
And, but in the end, if that happens, then what does that tell you?
There's only so much you can do. Yeah. Because it is out of your hands. It's control. You are not intentionally ever. And the reality is like you were saying, like, oh, you're robbed of this experience, but the amount of effort that I put into going places, that
Yeah.
you put into me, into both of us getting out of the house,
Mm.
is not just, an hour before we leave or 2 hours. Usually it's days before
Yeah. Yeah.
because I need extra rest. I'll need extra things. We'll need
Yep.
to lay low a lot. So we take away a lot of other responsibilities or things that we might have done.
Mm-hmm.
All of the things,
M-
chores are done ahead of time, days ahead of time.
meal prep, things like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
everything. And
Mm-hmm.
then we kind of go over like what other obstacles do we think we could encounter on the way there? How can we make that less?
What's our out? What's our way out?
Yeah, what's our way out if we need to, what do
Safe
we
word.
say? What can we, we're questioning a lot of those things. There is so much time and effort, not to mention the amount of effort I have to put. It is going to be more than a normal healthy person.
Yeah.
Just getting up out of bed, just
Yeah.
getting dressed can be very difficult. Being in a car is extremely difficult for me. Cars
Right.
are a big
Right.
trigger for one
Yeah.
of one of my episode things.
Yep.
And extreme can be extremely painful and sickening. Yeah, all of these things, and
Mm-hmm.
so it is quite a bit of effort and sacrifice on
Right.
our end for something that we find valuable. So it is a big loss when we don't get to go somewhere, do something on top of that we could get negative feedback for it
Right.
and or lose a relationship.
Yeah. But on that note, what you're saying there about losing the relationship, I was gonna say that too. Is that when that happens, it's kind of like when that happens, it's kind of a reveal or an eye opener of who your true friends are, so to speak.
It's just not all friends are built for that, Not all
Yeah.
friends are built for when you go surfing.
Yeah.
I don't have surfing friends. Sometimes I only have surfing friends.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
an example, I don't surf at all. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that they're bad friends. They're just not the right friends for us right now.
Yeah. I guess so. They're only friends in favorable seasons.
Or they're just built for different kinds of hardships.
It does definitely require, I would say, a lot of trust because one, again, about whether or not you feel like it's going to end that friendship or relationship when you do kind of consistently not get together or get together late or all the above. It raises those questions like, are they going to view me differently, or decide to end the relationship even if it's subtly. Like, it's not just like they're going to tell us one day like, we're done being friends with you. It just fizzles out, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, but that's the thing, is that we have to be aware of that possibility, which I think we are already. But we have to be okay with it, because that doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. It just means we need to keep looking for that support system that can be understanding
Yeah.
of our circumstances. And like you said, not everybody is built that way. Not everybody's like that. Everybody's different, views things different, operates different. So I think it's not, is it comfortable? Is it a little bit more of a hassle to have to find and to exert that effort of finding those new friends, sure. But we could be benefited so much more if we can find those friends that are more understanding of those situations
Yeah.
than our previous ones. But so far, I think our circle of friends that we do have has been
Mm-hmm.
pretty good about that. I mean, none of them have ever been like they never gave off a vibe of feeling so what's the word?
So disturbed at
Yeah,
our.
yeah, they're like uh inconvenienced. They never
Mm,
gave off the vibe of feeling so inconvenienced by us that I recall in any way. So I think that who we have right now has is a pretty great group.
yeah.
If anything, we would be maybe just looking for additional
I was like, yeah,
versus
we could use a little
replacements.
bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing, just like you said, like, we're okay with that we might not be everyone's cup of tea of friendships right now. Um, but this is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently in the last couple of years. I've really been like amping up my thought process. The gears have been turning of how much do I want to continue to have the expectation of being somewhere on time or reliably,
Hmm.
versus it is out of my control. My body is unreliable, and I have enough to deal with and to stress about. Is that something I can stress less about, worry less about, and not have that expectation for me the way that I have
Yeah.
or the way, yeah, the way that I have already inside of me that I think I should be having, probably based on, a more normal, healthier, responsible person.
Hmm.
And it's not that I'm not responsible. It's just I have greater limitations,
Yeah.
and I am unable to do a lot of things.
Right. Right.
Hence, disabled, it means the same thing. It
Uh,
means the same thing. It
yeah.
means the same thing. And it is something that I feel like I should be feeling differently about at this point in my life. I have tried for decades to be on time. I have been in
Yeah.
times that I have, had much more functionality and independence. And looking back, I realize how much pressure and effort I was putting forth and how much sacrifice of my own health and time and fit just to be, you know, only 5 minutes late somewhere or to have this
Right.
or that. And it's at this point, I'm really, really realizing that maybe it's not as big of a priority and a worry for me.
Yeah.
And that maybe I just need to reconstruct my life a little bit so that time isn't as much of an issue
Hmm.
because I don't have control over those things at this point in my life still. And I don't necessarily foresee that changing anytime soon.
Yeah. I yeah, I can understand the dilemma and the choice, the frustration that there is because I would say more so when it comes to those doctor's appointments, for example,
Hmm.
like those are things you need, like need
Yeah.
to function.
Hmm.
Whereas, I mean, it's not to say that getting together with friends and whatnot isn't important too, because helps feed you, that helps feed your soul and helps you to
Right. It is still
have
important to
more
me.
reason. What's that?
I was just saying it is important to me still.
Yeah, it's still important to you, and it still is important because it helps make things easier by feeling more like there's more to life than just experiencing this negative stuff going on and experiencing these health issues. You get to find some enjoyment, some time away from it, etc., to kind of rejuvenate, and then helps make the trek forward that much easier. But when it comes to those doctor's appointments, that can be frustrating. I would say if it wasn't for that, it would just be I would for sure agree with you that it's time just focus your thought process on just do what you can do.
Yeah, I would
You
like to change my thought process more to being happy for what I can do
exactly,
instead of focus on the things that I can't, or being around people that like to throw a lot of titles and words
exactly.
my face about what
Yeah.
I can and can't do, or
Yeah, I think it'll be harder with the doctor's appointments for sure to feel that way, to
yeah.
or to lead with that thought of I'm just going to do what I can do. It's not impossible, but I think we can do it. I think if we can also find those right, because not everyone, like we talked about before, is like that, including doctors. So
Yeah.
I think that if we find the right people to work
Yeah.
with, we can have an easier time of promoting that thought
Hmm.
process.
And distancing from the people who aren't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I'm in a place where I'm starting to draw another further line into being like, yeah, I don't
Hmm.
need to, this is not helping me. This is
Right.
not a good friendship. And I can't imagine that these other people are enjoying
Right.
it, because they seem so upset with me all the time when I'm with
Right.
them. So I'm like, this can't be fun for you either. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna step out and away.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something I'll work on then, is being more positive and focusing more on the things that I can do, because I can do a lot of things and my health goes up and down drastically sometimes.
Yeah.
And I have spent what, a year before, not too long ago, not being able to sit up
Yeah. Yeah.
or walk or hold my head up very well at all,
Right. Yeah.
even at all. So even so, I'm very grateful that right now I do have some mobility and the ability
Oh
to
yeah.
sit up, and I
Yeah.
can walk a little bit and things like that.
Yeah. You made a lot of progress.
And with a lot less pain than I had been
Hmm.
walking before in my life.
Yeah.
So I would
Definitely.
like to be happy for those things. There's still a lot of things that I can't do that maybe I could do at some point in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to be happy for those things. And I would really like to be surrounded by people who are happy about those things for me too.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, yes, there are times where you can kind of feel a little bit more, not regret, but like a yearning, aching for those things again. But at the same time, instead of just focusing on that, kind of shifting the gears to like, I got to do those things. I got to
Yeah.
enjoy those
Mm-hmm.
things. And then also, instead of focusing as much on the past, focusing more on what can you do or what could you do in the future, you know, maybe
Yeah.
trying new or different things that
Yeah.
are attainable for you
Yeah.
at this time.
I ran some fun little 10K things and I did that. So now we're going to move on to something else in life, new
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
So, where I learned how to pet a lot of dogs or something,
Yeah.
something else fun.
Yeah. Sometimes it really just comes boils down to mentality, how you want to view something.
Mm,
Do you want to view this as a I can't do this anymore? Or do you want to view it as I did that in my life?
yeah.
Now it's time to move on to the next thing. So I feel like definitely promoting what accepting what you can or can't do is a good way to approach this and to go forward for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel
Well,
like we both can do it, honestly, not just you. I think I can do it too. Accepting where we as a couple can or can't, or even just me as an individual in this
mm,
relationship, what I can or can't do. So
mm,
I think we both could definitely work on that.
yeah. Well, hey, let's work on it and talk about it in another episode. Yeah.
Okay. You want to
With the
start it?
bear, the moon, and the big blue house. What were we talking about? I don't feel good.